Tonight, before you go to bed, try turning off every single light in your room. Turn off your phone screen, too. Then just sit there in the pitch black for 1 full minute. If you're like most people, it's going to feel deeply uncomfortable. You'll get restless, it might even feel a little eerie. Yet your body is actually wired for that exact environment. Modern humans have been walking the earth for about 300,000 years, but we've only had widespread electricity for the last couple of centuries. That means for 99.9% of human history, our ancestors spent their nights in absolute darkness. There were no street lamps or LED screens. Their sky was dominated by the Milky Way, a view of the cosmos so dense with stars that we now have to travel hundreds of miles away from modern cities just to catch a glimpse of it. We are living through a radical biological mismatch. The modern world has engineered a brilliantly bright environment, and our deeply ancient nervous systems are struggling to exist inside a habitat they were never designed for. To understand what our bodies do when we remove that artificial light, we can look at an experiment run in 1992 by psychiatrist Thomas Ware. He placed participants into absolute darkness for 14 hours every single day to see what happened to their sleep schedules. The continuous 8-hour sleep blocks started breaking apart, stretching across the timeline to form a 2-phase cycle. The new rhythm formed 3 distinct sections: sleeping for 4 hours, waking for a 1 to 3 hour gap, then returning to sleep for a final 4 hours. Lying awake in the middle of the night usually triggers panic for us today, but these participants weren't tossing and turning or stressing about the next day. They reported feeling completely calm. Nobody told them to sleep this way, and they weren't suffering from insomnia. Stripped of artificial lighting, the human body instinctively reverts back to its ancient factory default setting. This biological data doesn't exist in a vacuum. Historian Roger Eckert spent years digging through the archives to see if people actually lived this way before the Industrial Revolution. He uncovered hundreds of diaries, medical texts, and personal letters that explicitly mention a daily routine of a first sleep and a second sleep. People would go to bed shortly after dusk, sleep for a few hours, and then wake up in the dead of night. This nighttime culture likely traces its roots back roughly 1 million years to when humans first learned to control fire. A burning hearth provided warmth and safety, but it also artificially extended the waking day. Anthropological research shows a distinct shift in how people communicate around a fire. During the day, hunter-gatherer conversations are highly practical, focused on food and labor. But at night, over 80% of the talk shifts to storytelling, humor, and folklore. For early humans, waking up in the middle of the night was a highly structured, socially expected continuation of their day. That 1 to 3 hours of quiet wakefulness, positioned squarely between the first and second sleep, functioned as a distinct period of the night. You could call it the midnight window. When you sit in total darkness for extended periods, a specific neurochemical change happens in the brain. The body is flooded with higher levels of a hormone called prolactin. Prolactin is closely tied to a deeply peaceful, meditative state. It actively suppresses the kind of waking anxiety that usually keeps modern minds racing. Ancient people used this calm, hormone-soaked window as a built-in mechanism for psychological maintenance. They used the absolute quiet to pray, reflect on their dreams, and slowly process the events of their lives. The end of this natural cycle happened incredibly fast. Over the last 2 centuries, artificial lighting aggressively pushed back the borders of the night. Cities evolved from cheap household candles to systematically lining their streets with outdoor gas lamps. Public spaces remained fully visible long past midnight. Then came the electric light bulb. These early prototypes eventually gave way to mass-produced indoor lighting, allowing anyone to flood their living room with daytime visibility at the flip of a switch. But our biology couldn't keep up with the technology. When you look at an intensely bright phone screen at 11 o'clock at night, your brain genuinely perceives that light as daytime sun. We successfully conquered the dark, but in the process of turning night into day, we broke the ancient evolutionary clock ticking inside our own heads. This diagram illustrates the immediate biological cost. Artificial light severely delays the release of melatonin, the specific hormone required to initiate sleep. Without that chemical signal, our sleep quality drops and our natural rhythm shatters. The philosophical cost is harder to measure. We gained constant 24-hour connectivity, but we lost the absolute silence. We lost the dedicated time we used to spend completely alone with ourselves. Humanity traded that quiet, reflective midnight window under the stars for a brilliantly bright, endlessly anxious modern world. So tonight, when you finally flip that switch and turn off the lights, just think about it. You are returning to the exact quiet environment that shaped human consciousness.